Hello, this is Lisa Phillips and welcome to Affordable Real Estate Investments. This is a platform where I teach people how to purchase rental properties at a price they can't afford. For those who do not know me, I've been at this for about 13 years. I've been investing in low-income areas and low-price properties all over the country for 13 years and assisting my clients on how to do the same. So if it's their first rental property and they want to buy low but not buy in a bad neighborhood, or they want to invest, they want to buy low but there's nothing where they live, I show them how to set up an out-of-state investing portfolio. My book, my best-selling book is Investing in Rental Properties for Beginners, so I suggest you guys check that out. I'll put a link below after this. So this is a gentle call to arms. You guys are slowly getting there, but you're not there fast enough. So I want to start saying this corporate housing crisis, all of this, it needs to stop. The housing inflation market needs to stop. This lack of supply needs to stop. And most of it's geared towards big corporations. Airbnb is part of it, but so are big players like BlackRock and Vanguard and all these other holdings and ambush holdings and smaller players who are, one, taking a lot of supply off the market for their business purposes, causing a housing shortage and rental increase. And yes, I do Airbnb, but I sort of don't like it anymore. And I'm switching to long-term tenants, which is better for the economy than people. So I'm gonna walk this way so you guys can see me in the sun. So let's talk about the institutional players and what's going on and why this is a gentle call to action on how, even though I don't like politics, it is effective. And we're going to have to start getting political, and we're going to have to start making phone calls, and we're going to have to start telling our representatives, if you do not cut down on the Airbnbs in the areas, if you do not cut down on large corporations owning more than 2% of all homes in a particular location, if we do not shut down on that, you are going to see a time when you can no longer afford any of the houses. Is it good for people like me who own their own houses? Yeah. Is it good for you and our future generations? No, because it's going to be the haves and have-nots. My kid can get the house I'm living in, but can yours? And at these rates and at these times, I was sort of just sitting back and watching and just understanding over the last 20 years that's what they were doing. But now it's time for action. This is the time. We've really gotten away from this, where there used to be change.org petitions. You would do one change.org petition and put 1,500 signatures, 1,000, in front of a senator's or congressperson's desk, and they would take action because that was enough to know that their constituents wouldn't stand for this. And this is past Republican and Democrat, so you guys really need to stop that and just tell all of them on both sides, because they're both bought and paid for by these corruptions. As the BlackRock representative said, it's $10,000 to buy a senator. It's probably $1,000 to buy a state, congressman or woman, right? So it's not even hard to get these people to do what we want, but we've really gotten away from the change.orgs, the petition, calling them, letting them know, and really mobilizing. But I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, they all need to hear this. And it needs to be, everyone needs to call them and say, if you do not stop limiting the number of independent Airbnbs, as opposed to someone who has an Airbnb, but I rent out a room, which is what I do. I'm not taking a house off the market, it's my house, right? So that's different than someone buying 40 different properties, and with those 40 different properties, all of them are for Airbnb and short-term stay only, causing the housing affordability crisis. So, and not only that, when you have places where institutional buyers have been paying cash and buying out middle Americans for these homes, and they've been doing this for the last 20 years, well, maybe we should have stopped it then, but it's never too late. And I'm watching everyone talking about it, but there's no action. This is the call to action. And it can't just be one person going, hey, I got to call this congressperson to do something. It needs to be all of us. I don't care, in this community or the bigger pockets community or wherever. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, because they've both been bought out by all these companies I just noticed. Okay? Both sides need to have people call them and tell them we are not for these institutional investors. They need to sell. And that is the only way you're going to reverse this trend of these very expensive housing crisis and this very strict supply shortage that is causing their wealth to go up as it's depleting ours and making home ownership completely unaffordable. I don't care if they have a plan for the Great Reset. Well, here's our plan. You're not doing it, right? And I'm slowly watching, but you guys haven't gotten to the point. You're just complaining, and we're not complainers. I know we're tired. I know we have tons of stuff to do, but now's the time for phone calls. And now's the time to saying it's not right and we want to make a law against it. They can make a law saying you can't do Airbnb. They can make a law saying, and we're going to force them to, saying that these big corporations, no big corporations can own more than X amount of homes in one city. And we're going to do that at every single level. And we all need to call. I don't care if it's just our community. I don't care if it's just me. I got phone calls to make. Because the call to action now at this point is very clear. We have the data and the statistics to back it up on who's causing the housing supply shortage. And let's get to racism, which always rears its head. So guess where a lot of these big players are buying in? Now they're buying in low-income communities because they're undervalued and underpriced, so they get a good deal, and evicting at higher rates in lower-income black communities than others. So this is across the board. So if you're one of my black professional constituents and you care, your community is being targeted first if you live in a black community, and they're evicting at higher and faster rates. So I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, everyone needs to start calling. I need to stop. So I love all these hit pieces on what's causing it. We know what's causing it. I love all these comments saying this should be illegal. Yes, this should be, if you care more about us than capitalism. So the next step is call to action, call to arms. We need to start calling them. And I don't even like politicians. I honestly don't have any use for them. But every 2, 3, or 4 years or so, I need to brush off the old book and send an old email, make a few phone calls, and this is this time. And I don't know if this is going to spark a movement. It should if you're smart. If you're seeing what the writing on the wall, you should absolutely be mobilizing, and we should absolutely be letting them know if you don't do anything about this. I don't want to hear all talk. We know what it is. We got the data. We know it's Airbnb for single family residents, not the one who shares a room. So that is a difference. We know it's big institutional investors not letting go of these properties. And we know that we can say, we don't want that. No, we can't have BlackRock, Vanguards, or these other places who are completely targeting our communities. And we can put limits on them. And I'm more conservative than I am Democrat or liberal. Although, if there's a liberal issue and it makes sense, I'll go for it. Like I'm honestly not tied to anything other than what's going to make the most money and make the most sense. Honestly, I don't care whose sides it comes from if it's a good idea. But this is going across party lines, and this is a call for Republicans and Democrat constituents to be calling about this. But here's for you Democrats, because y'all real ignorant. Don't be adding and feed the homeless or house. No, don't be doing all that. You ain't gonna get anything passed like you haven't gotten anything else passed. Stop it. Keep it on one issue. You're always trying to add stuff that's extra. The homeless is an issue, but that is not an issue that's gonna get cross-country appeal or cross-partisan appeal. So if you don't want anything to happen, keep acting up and doing all this extra stuff. But if you want to say, we don't want all of the supply to be this low so I could actually afford a home one day, then that should be the point that you want to say. And conservatives, y'all are pretty cool. Y'all don't be trying to do all this stuff. Conservatives are like, yeah, I just have this one issue. I'm not trying to do all this other stuff extra. Keep it simple. Keep it that. Don't try to eat the rich, right? Don't try to say, oh, landlords also shouldn't be able to evict people for not paying. Yes, if you don't pay, you should be evicted. Don't be silly. Don't be stupid. I'm going to say, just don't be stupid. Stop it. I know I'm in some super liberal comments. You guys make no sense, right? Small rant, but I'm just like, yeah. And we're going to add a house to the homeless bill. And for what? So when you have a mental illness and, there's dirt everywhere because you're not taking care of it, your family couldn't take care of you. So, or if you have a very bad drug addiction, and there's feces and rats and dirt everywhere because you care more about the addiction than keeping the light on. Let's stop with the house of the homeless. If you want to keep doing that, you're not going to get anywhere. You need to start being more strategic. People are tired. You're not going to get anything done. But at this point, we need to focus on one. And the one talking point should be, we need to do something about institutional investors. They need to leave the markets. We need to demand they leave the markets if they own more than a certain amount of units. And you won't get voted into office unless we start seeing them selling, more supply hitting the market, and these prices going down. That is it. Stop adding all your stupid things. And then we can actually get somewhere. And yeah, I'm going harder on Democrats because it's like, you guys want everything. You're not going to get it. You can get one. So choose wisely. Now, if you don't, what's going to happen? Well, the people who are conservative like me, we already got our house. So we've already been working towards this. We didn't trust this stuff anyways. We didn't trust this government. We didn't trust anything else. So we try to take care of that stuff as soon as possible. So if nothing happens, people like me and my family are going to be okay. All right? We really are. So you don't have to do anything. But this really is a call to action to all the communities, all the financial bloggers. And this, we don't always have to get political, but this is the one time we need to get political. They have bought and paid for our congressmen, but we also need to know, I don't care how much money you got for these big institutional investors. I don't care. You're going to get voted out if you don't do something right now. And I'm not talking a year from now. I mean right now. Okay? Now, let's not take it too far, because if you take it too far with and no one should have to pay rent, because some of you guys are silly like that. Oh, I shouldn't be evicted if I don't pay rent. No, you should. That's a contract. But, so don't do all that stuff. Don't do all the housing the homeless. It's a no-go, right? And, yeah. And you don't want to put any caps on individuals. A single mom and pop can own 2 or 3 properties. That's normal, right? But when we're talking about institutional investors in one city, it should be based on the population of that city of how much they could own, and they shouldn't own, we should do the numbers and saying, well, if this person owns 5%, 2%, 3% of the properties, and all of that would help ease the housing crisis, well, we'll go down to, you can own no more than X percent, so that the supply and demand field is a lot more level, because we cannot, even Amazon.com is buying single family homes. You want to compete with Amazon? So stop doing all that other extra stuff. Let's keep it focused. Call to arms. I'm going to make my own phone calls, even though I hate it, but to all of my congressmen, because it's not a partisan issue. This is Democrat or Republican. We're all going through the same thing. And if there is one time the American public can unite about one thing without getting bogged down with all the dumb other stuff that is really divisive, this is the one thing we actually can agree on. So if we can be grown-ups about it, which I don't know if we have it in us, I really don't, America. I don't know if you're grown up enough to do this and keep it on one issue, Democrat or Republican, and let them know that we want change on this within this year. I honestly don't know if you have it in you. If you don't, people like me are going to be fine, and people like you, if you haven't purchased, are not. So your lack of being able to at least agree on one thing and get one thing passed is going to be your own undoing while they take over everything. All right? So just do it measured. Do it with responsibility and some emotional maturity. But if you can't do it and the status quo remain, it's going to be the have and have-nots. It already is, right? You're like, who's buying these houses cash? People who purchased 10 years ago and sold for 6 times their value like I did. We got cash because of what we just did, right? Not a ton, but enough to purchase that other property or to pay off, you know what I mean? So the people who have are already okay. So this is for the people who have not, and it needs to happen with you not adding all this other stuff on it and just making one clear, decisive call to the legislature. And if you really want to have some razzle-dazzle, you want to go further. And I'd like this to be an open letter to all of the Black blogger communities, because home ownership is wealth building. And if they're targeting our communities, we need to say, we just can't have these institutional investors. It's unfair and it's not competitive. All right, so I hope this helps. This is Lisa Phillips. If you want to contact me about finding low-cost properties, you can still find them. I can't say what markets we're on, obviously, because all these big institutional investors like to follow me. So we're very hush-hush, but we can find them. They're everywhere. Just helped a client the other week purchase a 45K property in a great area. So I helped do that and help them invest in their first rental property. You can go ahead and go to my website, affordablerealestateinvestments.com, and click on the link to have a consultation. So I hope to hear from you guys. I hope to hear more call from actions from all the communities. I guess this is an open letter that now's the time. Let's stop complaining. Let's get to more action, or else y'all are going to be out of luck, because we see the game. We see the plan. All right? So, it's only going to be either our lack of being able to come up with a solution we could all agree with, our lack of cohesion. It's only going to be our lack of unity that sinks it. But if we can unite on this one thing, this is enough to help pretty much everyone across the board who's working, not giving money and housing to people who ain't, but who's working, to be able to be competitive and have the home ownership dream again, versus them owning it all because you couldn't get together and unify behind something we could all agree on because you wanted your pet projects. So this is all on you, America. And I'm just saying it like this because, like, you really need to understand, a third of us are okay with the housing market, right? So either you unify and all of us are good, or it's just the 1/3 who've been really being conservative over the last 10 years who are going to make it, or at least be able to have home ownership that they're going to pass on down to their kids. All right, so pick up my best-selling book, Investing in Rental Properties for Beginners, at Amazon. I'll put in a link below. You can also get a free copy if you just pay shipping. That's on my website, affordablerealestateinvestments.com. And thank you, everyone, and good night.